Around this time last year, I was like many of you. I was working full time and saving up to purchase the parts I needed to build my very first gaming PC. Now, I know a lot of you are young, therefore you may not have a job of your own and may be relying on your parents to supply the money needed to purchase your PC. Now, this video is going to have two different potential builds at two different price points. The first build will be perfect for a budget build of around $500 USD, and the second will be ideal for a mid-budget build of around $1,000. Since a large portion of my viewer base as well as Fortnite's player base is situated in North America, I thought that using USD as the currency was the most ideal, but the parts selected should cater to budgets equivalent to whatever currency your country uses. If this video gets enough likes, I would be open to making a part 2 to this video with different budgets. Comment below what budget PC you would like to see and I'll pick the most popular ones for the next video. I'd also like to mention that this video will not be featuring any pre-built PCs. In my opinion, pre-built PCs are not the wave. The majority of the time you will end up with a better performing PC if you purchase the parts and build it yourself. I know it can be very daunting to build a PC for the first time, however there is an abundance of videos on how to build a PC from scratch. Case in point, I built my own PC a year ago with no prior knowledge of building a PC, and it still works perfectly fine to this day with no issues. If you are someone that happens to have a tighter budget, it makes even more sense to build it yourself as you are getting more bang for your buck. Companies that build the PCs for you tend to cut corners on some components. Nevertheless, if you do decide to go the pre-built route, I won't hold it against you, just make sure that you are getting a decent deal. Before we can dive into the builds that I have put together, we need to understand the basics of what makes up a functioning gaming PC. In total, there are 8 essential parts you need to choose for your PC. These parts are the CPU, also known as the processor, the CPU cooler, the graphics card, also known as the GPU, the motherboard, the RAM, the storage, the power supply, also known as the PSU, and lastly a case to house all of your parts. Additionally, you may also have to purchase some fans to help with airflow, keeping your components cool. To prevent this video from being too long, I'm not going to get into any more depth regarding how all of these parts work together. If you are curious though, watch this video by YouTuber Bitwit on PC part compatibility. It should give you more confidence and clarity regarding parts. Luckily for you, I've done pretty much all of the work for you in the upcoming builds, so all you have to worry about is buying them and putting them together. If Henry Cavill can figure it out, I'm pretty sure you can too. So starting with the $500 build, this is going to be primarily for gaming and gaming only. A build of this price is going to generally struggle to record and stream games without suffering a loss in performance. I'm starting at $500 because I don't think anyone should go below this price point. Anything below $500 and you're probably better off sticking to console gaming with the release of the next generation consoles. At least then you can avoid the headache that comes with building a PC. Also want to preface this by saying that you should do your own research on top of what I'm giving you in this video. I don't want to be liable for any problems that might occur when building this PC, so please do your own research on top of this before going out and buying all of these parts. I also want to say that this is a great time to be buying a PC with Black Friday and Christmas deals around the corner. This is why I waited to buy my PC this time last year, and this is why you should be buying your PC at this time, because you will find yourself a lot of deals and you will save a lot of money. So the first part I recommend for the $500 build is the Ryzen 3 3200G CPU that comes with the stock AMD cooler, and this is gonna run you about $100, man. This is a 4-core 4-thread CPU that has a base clock of around 3.6 GHz. Not only that, it can be overclocked, and it comes with a stock AMD fan, so this means you don't have to spend extra money on a cooler, which is gonna save you guys some money. Throughout this video, I am going to be putting screenshots of deals I found on American websites that are selling all the components that I'm listing. These will also be linked in the description, or at least I'll put the name of the component in the description so you can do your own research. I will put a list of websites that I use for the US retailers, and I also put some UK websites where you should probably find the best deals. Obviously take this with a grain of salt, prices are going to fluctuate. Some pieces might be sold out by the time you're watching this video, but try and look for these parts, and in most cases I will provide an alternative just so that you aren't limited just to the one component. The graphics card that I will recommend is the Gigabyte GeForce GTX 1650 Super Overclocked Edition, which will run you about $160 or so. At most, you should be paying $160 for a regular 1650. So the fact that I found a 1650 Super for this price is a major steal. When it comes to graphics cards, I will always recommend NVIDIA over AMD. Don't get me wrong, AMD are increasing their graphics card game, but NVIDIA are just the kings when it comes to graphics cards. This is going to be a great GPU for 1080p gaming, and you should get about around over 100 FPS on Fortnite with competitive settings. Alternatively, I found this MSI GTX 1650 Super from Micro Center for $160. Since the budget is around $160, $165, if you can't get a 1650 Super, go for a regular 1650. The performance is quite similar. You might lose just a few FPS, but I definitely recommend the 1650 Super. Next on the list is the motherboard, and I went with the $78 Asus Prime B450MA board. Now you can pick this one up on Amazon, but it is quite widespread on all the websites that I was searching. It's the B450 chipset. It's a micro ATX board. It comes with 6 USB ports on the I/O, and it has one M.2 slot for SSD storage. Alternatively, you can get the Gigabyte B450M DS3H V2, which is for $75 and is also widely available. The reason I've gone for this board is because the B450 chipsets are probably the best around these price points. Although you might have to update the BIOS if you are planning to upgrade to a 5000 series Ryzen card or Ryzen CPU, excuse me. And also with the first case that I've put on the list, it's better to get a micro ATX board, although I do have an alternative case that supports ATX boards. Moving on to the RAM, I went for the Team Group T-Force Vulcan Z RAM. It's a DDR4 RAM stick with 3200 MHz, and it's 2 sticks of 8GB, giving you 16 gigs total for $60. Honestly, this is a great price for RAM. It has high speeds, which is good for Ryzen CPUs, and has a decent CL timing of CL16. Alternatively, you can pick up the Crucial Ballistics DDR4 RAMs at 3200 MHz for about $70. For storage, I went with the ADATA SU630 240GB SSD for $27. This is quite widely available. It's an SSD, so you're gonna get faster boot times as well as game load times, and if you really need it, you can get an additional hard drive for extra games, because 240 gigs is not really a huge amount, but this is a budget PC. Alternatively, for storage, I went for the PNY CS900 250GB SSD for the same price, and that's also widely available if you can't get your hands on the ADATA. For the power supply, I went for the EVGA 500W bronze rated power supply at $50. Now, there wasn't a lot of PSUs when I was shopping around. Maybe they're planning on restocking as the holiday season goes on. Nevertheless, EVGA is a great PSU brand, and it's a bronze rated power supply, making it more than reliable. Alternatively, you can just go for the EGA regular 500W 80+ rated one. I also found this Thermaltake 500W PSU for $43. As long as you get yourself a 500W power supply, you should be good with this build. And lastly, for the case, you have two options. The first one is the Thermaltake Verse H100i ATX. Now this one's gonna run you around $45. It is widely available. This one comes with one pre-installed fan, so a few extra fans may be needed to increase airflow, but it shouldn't really bite into the budget. Now this only supports the micro ATX and the mini ATX board, so if you are planning to buy a full ATX size motherboard, which really isn't on the list that I provided, but if you are planning on getting one, go for the second option. Also, it does not have a glass side panel in case you wanted to have a view of your parts. In the case that you did want those things, go for the Cougar MX330 mid-tower ATX, which is going to cost you $47. It's only $2 more, but you're going to get those extra little features if you wanted to get that. It's a mid-tower case though, so it is going to be slightly bigger if you don't mind that. In total, guys, we're looking at about $520 if you go for the first options of all of the parts I have provided. We are slightly above budget with $520, but with the sales, with Black Friday, with different price cuts, you should be able to get this build below $500. Before we get into the $1,000 build, I want to take this time to shout out our Discord server. Guys, we are growing quite rapidly on the Discord, so if you ever need anyone to play with or you need some advice on what PC to build, go ahead and join the Discord server below, and feel free to ask me or one of the mods any questions regarding PC. I'm usually the most knowledgeable when it comes to these things, but if you need any help deciding, this is the best place to go to get all your information. In the next part of the video, we're going to be taking a look at the $1,000 build. Now this build is going to be good for gaming, but also for streaming and recording, because it has some very powerful components. So if there's any of you that are looking to content create or to stream, this is going to be the build for you. So starting off with the CPU, we're going with the AMD Ryzen 5 3600, and this comes with the stock AMD cooler for around $200. Now this is a 6-core 12-thread processor with a base clock of around 3.6 GHz. It can be overclocked, and it comes with AMD stock stock fan. Now this is a great choice and it's going to be one of the most sought after budget CPUs. There is a 5600 coming out soon with Ryzen 5000 series if you want to wait for that. If you aren't willing to wait, then go for this CPU right here. I was also able to find a 3600X on sale at Micro Center for $200. Now, this is going to be rare, but you guys might be able to pick up a 3600X for the same price, so be on the lookout for 3600Xs. For the GPU, I went for an RTX 2060, specifically the MSI Vengeance. Now I found this GPU on B&H's website for around $330, and this is a great CPU with DDR6 memory. You can definitely use this to stream and record using the NVENC encoder, which is going to help with also tasks like video editing. And you should be able to get 200 FPS like I mentioned in the beginning. Another great alternative is the Gigabyte RTX 2060, which is around $320. Anything in the $330 price range for a 2060 is going to be a great deal. Now for the motherboard, I went for the ASRock B550 Phantom Gaming 4AC motherboard, which is going to run you about $125. Now I went for the B550 chipset because it's going to future proof you, because it's going to work for 3rd gen Ryzen CPUs as well as future Ryzen CPUs such as the 5000 series. I'd say go for the AC version because it has Wi-Fi built in, but you can also get the non-AC version, and this is going to come in an ATX form factor. Alternatively, you can get the Asus Prime B550M a Wi-Fi, which has very similar features for $130. The RAM is going to be the exact same from the $500 build. It's the Team Group T-Force Vulcan Z DDR4 3200 MHz RAM. I don't have much to say, this is just a great quality RAM stick. Alternatively, you can go for the Crucial Ballistic DDR4 3200 MHz 16 gig RAM for $70. The Team Group Vulcan is $60 if I didn't mention that already. Now for our first part of our storage, we're gonna go with the WD Blue 500 gig NVMe M.2 SSD for $54. Now at this price, I say go for an NVMe SSD. You're gonna benefit with even faster boot and load time than just a regular SSD. So definitely go for that. Alternatively, you can go for the Crucial P2 500 gig NVMe SSD, and that goes for around $60. For our second storage, I will just go for a regular 1TB hard drive, just a spinning hard drive. Go for WD Blue or Seagate. They're usually the most reputable, and I couldn't really find this for anything less than $45, but you know, maybe you will find it on sale $40 or $35 on some website. But these are widely available, and this is going to be to store your extra games that you might play besides Fortnite. For our power supply, I went for the EVGA 600W bronze rated power supply, and this is going to cost around $63. I found this on Walmart, also on Newegg as well, and this is just a standard non-modular PSU. For 2060s, they recommend about 500 watts, but I went for 600 just for future proofing, just in case you wanted to upgrade the GPU, and it will protect you in case you wanted to overclock or make small upgrades to your system. Any sort of 600W power supply from a reputable brand at a $60 price range is going to be great for this build. And lastly, for the case, because we are slightly under budget, I went for the Corsair 220T case. It's a mid-tower case for about $100. It's widely available, and this is if you really want to splurge. It comes with 3 RGB fans pre-installed, and it comes with an RGB controller. Now, if you really wanted to save some money and maybe invest it in a keyboard or a mouse, then go either for the NZXT H510 mid-tower, which is going to cost you $70, and it's the case that I use. Is very comfortable to build in, or go for the Corsair 4000D Airflow edition, which is going to cost you $80. In my opinion, if you do get those fans, you're going to have to spend a bit extra to get some case fans like these ones from Corsair, and you're going to have to buy some fan splitters. That's why I really like the 220T, because it comes with 3 additional fans. And that's going to be the build, guys. In total, if you buy the first options of everything that I've listed here, this build should run you about $977 USD, and this is a great build for the price, man. PC gaming is becoming more and more affordable each year, and honestly, $1,000 is more than enough to get yourself a great gaming PC. Guys, if you have any questions regarding these builds, go ahead and drop them in the comments, and I will try my best to provide answers. In the video description, you should find links to all of the parts below. I'm going to provide websites for where you can buy components from the US as well as the UK. Obviously, if you're outside of these countries, I'm not really sure what retailers you can buy it from. Amazon is a great one, but you're going to have to shop around to find the best deals, guys. I also realized that if this video does well, a lot of these parts might sell out. That's why I tried to provide alternatives. You know, for some of the parts, use your common sense. You don't have to buy the specific 2060 that I mentioned. As long as you get yourself a decent 2060 in the $1,000 build, you should be Gucci, man. And yeah, that's going to be the video, guys. Don't forget to leave me a like and also subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and comment below if you want me to feature another budget. Also, I'm going to put my social media on the screen if you guys want to follow me there and ask me questions in case I don't get back to your YouTube comment. With that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. We're on the road to 25,000 YouTube subscribers, and it's going to be a crazy journey to end 2020. Thank you guys for all your support. Keep gaming, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.